I wanted to go ahead and begin the video by apologizing to you for spamming so many Let's Go videos on the channel. I realize that you have probably subscribed to this channel for Pokemon Go content, and a way to alleviate that is I'll actually be uploading my Let's Go content to my FLW Videos 2 channel, which I will leave in the description as well as a pinned comment. So if you do want to stay up to date on Let's Go content, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. But with that being said, in today's episode, we are going to talk about how raiding has become easier in Pokemon Go. There's mainly two methods as to why we are able to get some easier raids in. The first one is because of the stat rework and how it affects our attacks. And then secondly, it has to do with how the CPs and difficulty of the raid bosses are calculated. So with all of that being said, if you do enjoy this content and find it helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into the video. If you have opened up your Pokemon box, you will know that the CPs have changed on all of your Pokemon. That has to do with a stat rework that has been going on in the game, mainly affecting two stats. The first one being the HP stat, and then the second one being the defense stat. For the HP department, the idea behind this is to normalize the Pokemon, get them a little bit closer together so we can get rid of some of the outliers. And that could be a positive or a negative. If you are a glass cannon type Pokemon like Gengar, Alakazam, Deoxys, you will get a buff out of this in the HP department, and then other Pokemon like Blissey actually gets a nerf because that stat was just absolutely overpowered, but with the new calculation it does get reined in a little bit. The defense stat on the other side is kind of interesting. I honestly thought that some of these Pokemon ended up getting a buff in defense, but actually none of them did. They either got no change in their defense or they got a decrease in the defense. That's actually why I have Cloyster up on the screen, is because Cloyster actually received the biggest nerf in the defense department. And if you are curious about some of the other Pokemon that would be on this list, go ahead and check it out. So now that we know that, let's go ahead and talk about how these stats actually affect our Pokemon. Two things are going on. The first one, if the HP stat was buffed, for instance with Gengar, that means that the Pokemon is able to last longer in the fight from an attacking perspective. Along with that, because their defense stat has been nerfed, what that does in turn is allow your charge bar to get filled up that much quicker. And in turn, you could end up getting off an extra charge move because of it. Go ahead and check out some of these results where we are using a Machamp versus a Blissey. This type of concept goes beyond just raiding. It also goes to gym battles and eventually PvP. As you will see, there is just a massive increase in the DPS as well as the total damage output that we can now get because of how those two factors work. Once again, HP going up can last longer. The defense going down means that the charge bar can get charged faster. And hopefully you will be able to get off some extra charges because of this. Now let's go ahead and talk about on the flip side how the raid boss like system of how it works is also benefiting us from this transaction. You may not have known this, but out of all of these stats for how the raid bosses get calculated, the HP stat is actually a fixed stat. And what this means for us is even a Pokemon like Gengar, for example, that got a boost in its HP, it doesn't get the benefit from it as a raid boss because the HP is fixed. Then on the other side, the defense stat has gone down, but because the HP hasn't gone up, it is therefore making it an easier Pokemon to go against. So how this benefits us is, one, if you are out there trying to do some solos and you've come up a little bit short versus different Pokemon, you could now actually be able to solo it just because of this new rework. And then for people trying to do just really extreme challenges, you may be able to get something done now that you could not get done in the past. So I figured it might make sense for us to go ahead and take a look at some tier 3 and tier 4 raid bosses so you can see which ones have gotten easier because of this entire CP rework. If you go ahead and take a look at it, there are a couple of Pokemon that have actually stayed the same while the others have gone down. I'm personally a little bit disappointed in the Absol because I think a lot of people could have done some really creative stuff, whether it was a mock solo or a duo or just doing some really cool stuff that hasn't been done before. I think that would have been one that a lot of people wanted to target. For myself, one that I'm definitely wanting to go against is probably a Jolteon. That was something that I was never able to solo in the past. It's actually has been fairly difficult until we end up getting the entire like weather system and then the battle rework done. But for myself, I'm excited to try this one, and I actually want to go ahead and end that as the question of the day. What is a Pokemon that you would like to go out and solo now, knowing that they could be a little bit easier? Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below, and if you did enjoy this content and found it helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you next time. I think we should do some dirty tactics. Maybe we should put a puppy in the video and say, hey guys, don't be mad at me about the whole let's go thing. Look, here's a dog. I always hated when YouTubers did that type of thing though, so I figured I might as well save it for the end credits so you guys can meet little baby Margot, the King Charles Spaniel.